Well, David, Ben, and Jeff, good to see you guys. This is exciting. I don't know that we've ever had this crew together before.
First. I know. This is great.
Well, I'd love for you guys to talk about, this song is incredible. Just, often when we do these videos, we're on the front end before our song's ever released.
Yeah.
This song has been out for a few weeks, and so we've got to see it impacting radio. It's impacting the church. It really feels like it just timely. It was just the right song, right moment.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're talking about Good God Almighty. But David, tell us a little bit about this song. I love the fact that, when writers take something, maybe a phrase that we've misused for a long time, and redeem it and show something good out of it. And I love this song because of that. But talk about this a little bit, of the writing of it, the lyric behind it.
Absolutely. For this album, I've worked with these guys like on so many of these tracks. It's really just, this is kind of the crew for this whole Milk and Honey season for me. And the funniest part to me is, so it was back on the first solo endeavor for Crowder when I dropped the other syllables, because I know people are like, not a lot of time. I was trying to be efficient with people's time, say less syllables, just Crowder, it's just the two. And but I was like, there was a song on that Neon Steeple record that I wrote with Matt Maher and Ben Glover, and it was Come As You Are. And I'm like, that one was pretty good. I probably shouldn't write with Ben for another few years. It's like, why in the world? Like, write one of the best songs, or part of the best song, that of this season of life for me. And then it just took so long for us to get back in the same room together. And man, it's just been a blast. The writing process has been super fun. It happens quickly, and it's just so I walk in and I'm like, got this phrase like, "Good God Almighty," that sounds like it's got some legs, and before we know it, we are just having a ball with this thing. And I'm most every time I'm talking about this Milk and Honey album, I'm using the words. It gets redundant. If you're going to listen to it, it's like, oh, I bet there's a choir in this one. It's like every time we get to a song, I'm like, and then when the chorus hits, we need a choir. And at some point, they're like, I bet we need a choir on this one, don't we, Crowder? It's like, yes, we need choral. And it's because, 2020 was a year when I wasn't around anybody. It's like, I'm in this is part of what I love about us getting to do this here in this space, is because we were distanced from one another for a lot of this record, a lot of this album. And this was kind of like my little spot of where these lyrics were, filling this room and space up in, and I'm hearing these voices that are together while having to do FaceTime and stuff to finish up some of this stuff. And so the choral aspect of this whole album, I feel like is it doesn't just sound great, but it's like it's how God exists in relationship together, and that's how we're made. From the very beginning in Genesis, God's looking. I remember going to camp like as a kid. It was like, all I need is just me and Jesus. It's just me. I just need Jesus. All you guys, I don't care. I just need. It's like, no. Adam walked and talked with God, and God went, "It's not good that man should be alone." And so there's relationship from the very beginning. And so for us to go through a year like 2020, I just wanted not just for it to sound neat. And like there's a lot of voices, but I wanted it to model what we felt as a disruption. That the church is not meant for this. The church is meant for community. God exists in community. We're made for community. Wow. And so for these guys to latch on and get that from the beginning, and then one of the first songs out of the gate, the first song that went into the public from what our endeavors have been, for it to be this song, I couldn't be more thrilled, because it makes such a strong declarative statement. Because after such a tumultuous year, you're looking backwards going, well, what we do know though is that God is still faithful. He's still God. He's still on the throne. Like the church I'm a part of here in Atlanta, Georgia, Passion City Church, as you know well, we had no expectation that could accommodate how much the church has grown. It's been insane. Wow. Everything had to shift online, and the church, instead of having this moment that should feel diminished, exploded. And that's so much a part of the theme of this album, and the words that we're saying out loud are are just announcing that exceedingly more is what he does. He takes this thing that looks like it's meant for evil and turns it to good somehow. And we've had time and time again had just solid affirmation of that. And this song, I'm so happy that it was the first one out the door because it's so jubilant too. You know?
Yeah, right.
I know a lot of my friends got down in that 2020 thing and were writing from a this is not great where we are right now. And all my songs were so happy and joyful. We're going someplace. There's promise on the other side of this. We're land of milk and honey, Canaan. We're coming. Maybe you got to go through the wilderness first, but God led it, and maybe we need some fire at night and some cloud by day. And I feel like we've seen that over and over throughout this experience. So that's kind of just the heart behind this song.
Yeah. And Ben, talk a little bit about this lyric. As David said, despite how much God's been faithful and all the things he's done for us, we find ourselves up against something that's difficult, and we forget. Like everything that God did, it was like, and we begin to feel the fear and the pressure. And this is a song that really comes against that. It's like a declaration of like, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to proclaim your goodness in spite of all of these difficulties. Which is, as David said, in this last year, people have had to learn how to do that. But talk a little bit about the lyric, and I just think it's really powerful. I mean, it's a fun song to play. I feel like what the song says is really significant.
I think when it comes to this tune, you said something earlier about the pillar of fire by night and the cloud by day. And I think there's something with that, which, it's just to touch on that, because it was like, the song really is sort of, in a sense, like it's about that, because it's like we've had evidence of God working in clear ways in our life, but then we forget, and then it's like we forget again, and we forget again, and it's like, and then something bad happens. You go, I don't know if it's real. I don't know what to think, and then it's like we say, well, good God Almighty, I hope you find me praising your name no matter what comes. I hope you'll find me. I hope no matter what comes, that you'll find me doing that, because I hope I've gotten to the point where I've figured that out somewhat. Yeah. And, or at least begun the journey of it, of realizing, hey, stuff's going to come our way. Things are going to be hard. And I hope this next time I don't forget that there was a pillar of fire that I saw, so to speak. And I think, you said it earlier. That's really kind of what it's about. I mean, it's. I hope you find me, praising your name regardless. And,
absolutely.
And that's hard to say, but
yeah. And Jeff, talk a little bit about what you're responsible for. What this song sounds like a little bit, but. Man, there's a lot happening here, and I think the cool thing is that we've seen a tremendous response so far, even from the church, and it's a little bit not surprising, but it's like, hey, churches are figuring out, they're figuring out how to do this. But talk about like collaboration on this, because you work a lot in the pop space, a lot in the more kind of sing music stuff like that. What was this process like for you, just coming in with these guys that are very worshipful? David always brings a little bit of that southern kind of rock thing, but talk a little bit about the process and the production.
It's funny because this one took a second to land on. I think Ben was just jamming on. You have like one of those, right? And he was like had this riff, and I was like, wait, because you said "Good God Almighty," and then you were playing the riff at the same time, and I was like, that's riff. Let's mic it up. We're gonna track to that, and we ended up writing that. And I'm like, we'd only worked together one other time, and I was like, how are we going to crack the code on this one? And I just remember it was like day one, we wrote half the song. Day two, we wrote the second half. And then after day two, I'm staying up all night. I'm just like, how are we going to unlock this thing? How are we going to get this thing dope? And I remember literally before we went in the room on the third day, I had sat at Honest Coffee in Franklin, and I was in my headphones, and I was like messing around with this 808 pattern on the verse, and I was like, I think this could work. And then we took it in, and you were like, yeah, that's it. And it was just, I don't know, it just came together. It was just super fun. And I just know that was so funny. And Carter was like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, yes.
Was that the third day? It was like a 3-day song.
Yeah, it was a 3-day song.
Some of it was we recorded and produced it though in kind of the same time.
It was one of those. It is a each record or each album that I've done since my musical tastes and flavors change, there's like a character defining like an audio moment that's like what's the foundational audio signature of this album, and that was this song. Is once this one fell into place, I mean, I don't know how many times I said the name Travis Scott or Juice WRLD or
Well, I think
shoegaze and hip hop. I mean,
I think with this one, we like
So
I
funny.
want it. You know, as a producer, and you know, digging into these things, you don't want to just it's like you want to be intentional and you want to figure it out, and it's like this is a long-term sound. This is something we want to like develop, and I think after this one, like Crowder was saying, we've just been digging in on a lot of these songs. This song set the tone of like the trust between all of us, because
the lexicon and the vocabulary.
Exactly,
Then the production aspect became super easy. We had a sort of a shorthand language that we were speaking in, and it made the rest of it fall in place. But there's always that front end of things when you're trying to figure how do you fit the organic the porch music type instrumentation is sort of my standard, and then the rest of the environment or the musical environment that folds around those things is always just that's always been the challenge. And once this one was nailed, then the rest just started snowballing down the
and the rest were fun and easy. I mean, it wasn't like a challenge. We were just like, it was fun. Honestly, it's been a fun process.
He walks in, and you know, the first day we were writing, and he says that hook. It was pretty early. I don't even know if I think he said the hook before I played the riff. I don't remember. I mean, those things we never remember.
You just kind of jam
works,
and it happens.
But he says this hook, and I was like, that's a perfect hook for you. I mean, there's sometimes, because you know, you sit around, sometimes you work on some kind of a vibe or whatever for a second, and then a lyric will come from that or an idea. But it's like anytime you can start with an idea on a song, it's the best thing, because it's like you got somewhere to go. And he says that. I think if 9 out of 10 artists say that to me, I'm gonna say I don't think that works for you. And I'm always seeing it. I'm just this global perspective of things, and I'm looking at him, and he says that, and I'm like, that is the perfect song idea. Like, that made so much sense from just what I know of David and everything. I was like, that's perfect. Let's go after that. And then we started doing I don't know, maybe the riff had happened.
As you were saying, it's the timing of the lyric too.
Was
it's like
crazy.
After a year like this, man, I'm gonna have to say something real strong.
And at the end of day 3,
at
the end of day 3, we were like jumping up and down. We were just cranking it. Anyone we could show who was in the vicinity were like, come over and listen to this song. It was awesome.
So Ben, walk us through what you're playing. You're capoed 5.
Yes.
Now the recording, David, is in D. We're doing it in
we'll
C.
see when we have this little broke down thing. That's hard to sing in that key. But, I mean, this is all fluid. This is all fluid.
This is a church-friendly key.
Church friendly. You know your people.
We're learning for the church, not for you.
You know where your ladies are singing at. You know. So yeah, we dropped it down for like a more intimate little situation.
And that's right.
You can see my head blow apart.
It's a beauty of capos too.
So I'm actually playing. I just do my deal in drop D, so I can hit that riff. That is the entire verse, and pre all the way up to the chorus for me.
Yeah, it's just.
And then also, if you're sitting over on an acoustic,
it's just 1 4 1. So it's just, you know, I'm in G, so it's G C G. So
Super
G C G, back and forth. And I'm even getting lazy with it, so I'm not even doing the full
That's great.
C on it. You know, so full on. So that's your verse, simple on the verse, and then chorus.
You got your 1.
1, 2 minor, 4. We're kind of in tune, kind of.
Yeah.
Close enough, all right. The only little tidbit in there is that minor, that flat 3 that comes in. So you got your 1, 4, back to the 1.
That's the sauce there.
Yeah, you don't have to use you don't hit
What we call
the sauce.
The sauce.
That's the
You wanna hit
Nashville.
that sauce chord.
That's right.
You don't have to.
That's the Nashville sauce chord. So that's what it is. But you don't have to use it. You know, you could, good God Almighty, don't be funny, praising your name no matter what comes.
Yeah.
You don't have to, or you can.
And the bridge is just call and response, kind of built around that one chord, right?
Mm-hmm. It's back to the verse chords. So it's the same, you know, 1, Praise him in the morning, praise him in the noontime, praise him when the sun goes down. In the morning. You know, it's pretty. I mean, it is simple.
Awesome.
So
Well, thank you guys for sharing the song with us. Man, it's been exciting to see what the song's done already, and appreciate you guys all sitting down and talking about it.
Thank
Sure,
you.
sure. Of
for
course,
having
yeah.
us. Absolutely. Thanks, Sam.
Oh, praise him in the morning, praise him in the noontime, praise him when the sun goes down. Love him in the morning, love him in the noontime, love him when the sun goes down. Good God.